Hello, and thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of Bite-Sized Cybercrime, the podcast where we discuss cybercrimes and cybersecurity news in bite-sized episodes every single week. This week we will be discussing a brand new generative AI technology that has been causing major disruptions in the tech industry. It tanked Nvidia's stock prices, it performs more efficiently than ChatGPT, it seemed to completely blow up overnight, and it was even temporarily shut off from new users due to hackers beginning to exploit it. This, of course, is Deepseek. So, what the heck is Deepseek, where did it come from, and what is the big deal? It seems like it came from absolutely nowhere, but Deepseek is a generative AI technology developed in China that performs about on par with ChatGPT, but with way less powerful computer chips. It's not new either, it's actually been in development since 2023. The Biden administration put export controls on China, preventing them from accessing the most powerful CPUs and GPUs, which of course are a lot more expensive, and cutting-edge chips like this are typically what power most of the modern AI tools we see today. Generative AI actually takes a lot of resources. There's a lot of computing going on in the background that allows AI to think. With Deepseek being forced to run on less powerful hardware and performing similarly to cutting-edge AI, it's a lot less expensive, which makes it a lot more accessible to consumers. The customer doesn't have to pay as much because it doesn't cost Deepseek as much to run. On the topic of accessibility, Deepseek also allows access to its core functions for free. OpenAI's ChatGPT requires payment for a lot of the same features that Deepseek provides for free, and even Deepseek's paid features are a fraction of the cost of a ChatGPT subscription. Deepseek is also open weights, which is similar to open source, but it doesn't have total and complete transparency. Open source software is software where you can basically modify it to your liking. Open source is also typically free to use. And open weights is pretty similar to open source. You could still fork and change the code, but in the case of Deepseek, you need to train your own model. You don't have access to all the data that was used to train it. You could still use the model for any purpose you desire, make modifications to suit it to your needs, examine how it works, all without permission from the people who made Deepseek. There's actually a lot of open-weight AI models, and OpenAI, ironically, is actually one of the more closed ones. All of these combined factors have made Deepseek a very disruptive technology that shook up the AI and the computer chips market. It's also no surprise that it rapidly grew in users almost overnight, though it's still not as widely used as OpenAI's ChatGPT, which has 300 million weekly users. Deepseek still managed to have 300 million downloads in just 10 days, making it the most popular app in both the App Store and the Google Play Store, and on that trajectory, it could pretty easily catch up with ChatGPT if it's handled correctly. However, that is a big if, and we'll get into why. Of course, it was only a matter of time before some sort of hack or data leak occurred, and, well, one sure did. One of the Deepseek databases was actually accidentally left exposed on the internet, which of course led to people finding all sorts of data. Chat history, secret keys, backend details, API secret keys, and metadata were all exposed. The API secrets are especially concerning, as that is pretty sensitive information that you'd typically want to hide. API secrets are similar to passwords in the sense that they're secret keys used alongside an API key to authenticate and authorize access to an API. So only authorized users or authorized, usually computers, are allowed to access this AI. If you use it without authorization, you may be able to access some information that you shouldn't be allowed to. This could theoretically get you a foothold inside of Deepseek's inner technologies, and allow access to even more sensitive information. Hackers could also theoretically modify the database. This could be performed by a pretty simple attack called an SQL injection. An SQL injection is a type of attack where a hacker submits SQL or SQL code. I'm sorry, I say SQL if you say SQL. Get over it. I think both are correct and fine. Anyways, SQL code is used in a lot of relational databases, and an SQL injection is really just you writing your own SQL code, submitting it to the environment, and trying to access features of the database that you shouldn't be able to access. Frequently, this is in accessing data you're not supposed to see, like private information on users, even passwords if they're stored unencrypted, which they shouldn't be, but it's happened before. And you can even modify the database to perform certain actions, maybe add extra money to your account. And of course, to cause the most destruction, you could just straight up delete things. Typically, though, the database that is accessed by the front end is not the only copy, so data loss is not so uncommon. It can still happen with smaller businesses that maybe don't have a backup solution in place. One of the common reasons an SQL injection can occur is that the text people input on a website is not validated. The site isn't checking that people enter SQL code into the text boxes. If it doesn't understand that it's code, it may just read it, the database understands, oh, actually this is SQL code, and it executes it. An SQL injection was actually the first ever cyber attack I was able to perform with no assistance, as I'm familiar with SQL. I did this against authorized systems, by the way. I did not hack Deepseek. If you're interested in learning hacking, there are plenty of websites that are actually designed to be hacked in certain ways. So don't just inject SQL into random AI-exposed databases. Thankfully, though, so far no one has come forward saying they managed to actually download this data using the exposed database, and it's since been fixed. Though, since it was out there, it's very possible a lot of this was seen, and downloaded, and just not disclosed. This is far from the only controversy with Deepseek, though. Microsoft and OpenAI, two very popular AI vendors with a pretty large market share, have felt Deepseek to be a threat. Both have investigated whether or not Deepseek has been using OpenAI's APIs without permission, so that they can basically train their model based on ChatGPT's output. Due to Deepseek being developed in China, there have of course also been security concerns. In an article from Reuters, Taiwan's digital ministry warned the government departments against using Deepseek due to potential information security risks, likely concerns that the Taiwanese government data could be in the hands of a Chinese company, which may have a conflict of interest in appropriately protecting that data. Taiwan is not the only nation concerned about Deepseek, though. Authorities in South Korea, Italy, and France have also began investigating how Deepseek uses personal data, and Italy has preemptively blocked the use of Deepseek as well, citing concerns about data safety and protection. I think that although this is incredibly exciting from a technology standpoint, and it will be pretty major if other companies can replicate low-cost large language model solutions, concerns about data protections are very valid. Many AI solutions will use data input by users to further train their model, and some people working for a company may enter sensitive information not knowing or understanding the risks of doing so. There's few regulations with how AI handles data, though there are, of course, other regulations with how data is handled, but this can be a bit of a gray area. There have also been concerns about the way the AI model censors data. It will not answer questions about Taiwan, Tiananmen Square, the Umbrella Revolution, and more topics that the Chinese government tends to censor. There are workarounds to this. Some people manage to make it say this information using Deepseek or in other languages, but couldn't translate it to plain English. This is clearly not intentional, though. And I do find the censorship of information regarding famous Chinese revolutions and criticisms of the Chinese government to be concerning. It's not unheard of to censor AI in certain ways. This is typically so that the AI doesn't start saying racist things because, well, a lot of media it's fed is racist and it can learn to be racist, which of course is not great. I'm definitely not against training AI to be ethical, but with different definitions and considerations of what ethics is. It's a complicated topic. I think Deepseek is still a technology to watch. It may even bring out a lot of regulations from different governments around AI technology. Or it could cause a major boom in the AI industry and take on rivals such as OpenAI. Only time will tell, but this is something to watch. Thank you to the Hacker News, The Atlantic, Reuters, AP News, and The Guardian for information about DeepSeek, its origins, some concerns around it. It's all really fascinating. And of course, thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of Bite-Sized Cybercrime, and until next time, stay secure.